Class is in session. The professor is in, y'all. We are looking at the contest of personality prize wall prizes. And like Mussolini and Kennedy, we have a Faction Frenzy premium prize wall. And that's what we're going to go over first. So as always, big shout out to the J Nasty Booty. Thank you so much for the help as you do. And then there's, of course, the other components of this as well. Number one is your roster, or as we say in class, your rooster. Pick things that are going to help your roster and do those things immediately. And last but not least, wait until the end to make sure you have everything from that contest. But by this point, you should already know where your faction stands and how many of these medallions you are going to get. So number one on this prize wall, the number one thing that you could probably go after, you can see I've already purchased it because I was so excited to finally get one, is a Sheik plate. And tied with the Sheik plate is your Hunter's Medallion. These are two of probably the best plates on here for several reasons. Both of them add a lot of gem damage in the case of the Hunter's Medallion, or a lot of move and gem damage in the case of the Sheik plate. So anybody with green or anybody that does green gems, like these are things that can definitely help them out. So those would be the first two that I would take off the prize wall personally. But that doesn't mean there isn't also some value in the Opportuna Z plate, which is another really good plate for anybody with countdown gems, or the Heart of Jade plate. So all of these have a lot of really good benefits for people to use, but this would be a number one, this would be a number one, whereas this would be more of a number two. Now, a couple of things to consider in addition to all of that is, what do you currently have? So if you have these plates, it's usually better to go with one that you don't have so that you have the variety. But you really actually need to go check your lineup, especially your lineup for feuds, your lineup for showdowns, and your lineup for boss, right? So what are you going to take from this prize wall is what are they going to help with what you're already using? So that is something that you really actually need to think about, is where does this fit in with what you already have, which is why I always tell you to check your rooster. And then after number one, being the four really bigger 24 medallion plates, this is where I would actually come over here for a second, and 100% gem damage strap is always in need, and a lot of builds are going to require that. The only thing that you have to keep in mind is that it could be for any class as well as basically any era. So it is a crapshoot, and you might not get exactly what you're looking for. So this really is a 2A sort of thing, would be to grab that strap over there. But after that, then it really comes down to 2B. Or not, 2 plates. So the next after that is, which plates are going to help your rooster the most, right? So which plates you get, and I cannot stress this enough, really, really, really depends on who you use the most and whom can use those plates immediately, right? That's what it's going to come down to. Do you use multiply gems, specifically black multiply gems? Well, then, if you don't have a Queen's Tiara, that's a really good idea. Do you use anybody that breaks a lot of red gems and has beefy red gem damage? Well, that's something to think about why you should take a tested loyalty plate. So they all have their uses, and that's probably the hardest part for me to get around to people, is that they all have their uses, but it really depends on whom you have on your roster. So that's why it's not simply this plate is the best plate and take it. It's, well, do you use a lot of sub people, and do they use red and blue gems? Well, then a Gremlin's Ears is actually a pretty good plate for you to use if that's part of your primary movers in the game. I hope that makes sense. Now, all of these plates, all of these ultimate plates are all good for what I like to describe as the bonus after effect, or shout out to my buddy, Sir Zorro, the Zorro effect. So Sir Zorro, oh, I'm pressing the button on my pen. That's what's making it happen. So Sir Zoro, love what he does, and especially because what he does is he shows that when you are able to break, for example, green gems, it's going to create a bunch of black gems. And even if black isn't the primary color for that superstar, that's going to bring a lot of extra gem damage at the end of your turn. So that's what these plates are really good for. They're good for what we like to call the extra. It is the extra damage that you can pile on top of sort of what you're already doing. And so that's where these become useful. And getting a few of these is also very useful. Again, do you have somebody that breaks green gems that you use all the time, or breaks red gems, or breaks black gems and you want to create more red gems? So there's lots of uses for these different plates on here. The last thing on here, number 3, would be getting 60% or 20%. I wouldn't actually spend any on there. If you did, if you only have 3, then that's obviously where you spend it. But if you have at least 5, then you should be picking up any of these plates over here for sure. So if you like to use subs, these are great for subs and then jump damage people. These are great for just adding extra damage, as I said. All right. You've already seen what I got. Let me know what you get in the comments. Appreciate you coming to class today. Give it the old like, share, and subscribe. Brofessor out.